just gonna start. This meeting is being recorded. That's a different voice. Well, I'm not gonna do the intro this time. We're just gonna start talking because we've been talking for the last 20 minutes off camera.
It's been so good.
And we're just gonna keep talking. So you was about to talk about 2 Samuel. Welcome to Barely Pushing, guys. Curtis, May, you know how we do. Welcome. Go.
2 Samuel. Sheesh. The story is so crazy. But I'm gonna paraphrase as much as I can, and I also have to read it for myself. I was in Bible study last night and they talked about it. He broke it down really, really eloquently. And I'm gonna try to make sure it makes sense, but we gotta read it again. But basically, King David. He was watching from his high tower. He saw a girl down there taking a shower, right? The girl that was down there taking the shower, I can't remember who it was. Bathsheba. So he witnessed her taking a shower, like from his tower or whatever. And so the shower, so he's like, yo, now mind you, they kind of made it seem like it was soft porn. Like he was basically watching her in the intimate moments, taking a shower. Like, so y'all take from that what y'all want. Either way, he had sent some of his people down there like, yo, who is that? And they're like, oh, that's Bathsheba. Now he knows who Bathsheba is. No, he said, who is that? He didn't know who she was. But once they told him who she was, he knew that she was the wife of his friend, very close friend, and the granddaughter of somebody who was like a mentor to him. So either way, it's like this girl is off limits, should be off limits to you, King David, the person who can have whatever and whatever he wants. But either way, he still tells them to go bring her to him, like the servants, come bring her to me.
What's Bathsheba's partner's name?
It starts with the H, I believe.
Okay.
I forget the partner's name, but that's a good point because that's the whole point of where I'm trying to get. But I forget his name. I forget the husband's name. But Bathsheba, they say he sends the people to go get her. So, or like a servant or whatever. The servant, or you can look it up and find the name. The servant goes get her. She comes back to the room. He makes her. Basically, they're intimate, right? It could be that he forced her. It could be that she didn't have a choice because he was the king. It's like King David. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody know King David don't play. Everybody know King David got that thing on him. He will clear this room out. Pretty much everybody knew that. Everybody was scared of him. And also, I didn't know this. King David was very handsome, apparently. He was like so beautiful.
Yeah.
The way that he was beautiful, his kids were beautiful, everything with him was just it. Like, that's King David. Like, so I don't know.
I also love, just to cut in, I love that the Bible, because someone needs to hear this as a believer, is like, you're allowed to be attractive. Because I was going to mention, anytime that someone is attractive in the Bible, God made sure to let us know.
Yes. And the way that he described him, I wish I had my Bible, but it was basically letting you know, like, he was fine, right? And so, I don't know if she had a choice, or she felt like she had a choice, or if she didn't have a choice. I don't really know. You know, let's leave that up to the theologians, whatever they. Yeah. So, anyway, he slept with her, and so it was a one night thing, right? So now
She was pregnant.
The husband was away. The husband was away, so he was away, like at war or whatever, fighting, or you know, he was away, and so he was on his way back, and David met with him when he got back, and so King David's like, "Yo, this is my man." Whatever. They catching up. He gets him drunk. And his plan is, so this is how you know that King David knew what he was doing was foul. His plan was like, yo, I'm going to get him drunk. He going to go back home with his wife. He going to sleep with her because at this point, he already knew she was pregnant. She sent word back to them like, I'm pregnant. So David knew she was pregnant. And so he wanted to get the husband drunk, to go back home.
Her husband's name is
Oh, what's her husband's name?
Uriah.
Uriah.
Uriah. And
He,
the age you were thinking about was he is the high type.
huh?
He was a high type.
Yes. So he wanted to get him drunk so he could go back home and have sex with his wife. In his mind, now again, King David was mad smart, right? He's the father of Solomon, yes?
Oh, I don't know.
King David is Solomon's father. Put that in the comments if it's correct. I believe so, but Solomon's the wisest person in the world. I believe that Solomon is King David's son. I can't check my phone because I'm on it. Just Google that because I want to know for sure. Is Solomon King David's son?
Bathsheba is the wife of King David and the mother of King Solomon.
Bathsheba is Solomon's mother?
Yeah. Yeah. She
Hey,
is a significant.
drops bombs.
Ah!
Okay.
So she was married to Uriah. Who? Oh, that was
Wait, let me finish. So Uriah, right? He goes, he tries to get him drunk. King David failed because instead of him getting drunk, he instead went and sat at King David's door all night long. So in the morning, King David like, yo, why you ain't go home and have sex with your wife? Low key, like, why you ain't go home? He like, nah, I couldn't go home. It's war going on. It's massive going on. I'm sitting in front of your door. I'm gonna watch to make sure you good. Now King David gets to thinking more and more. He's like, yo, you know what's crazy? Now I gotta get rid of him because he didn't fall into my plan. Right? So his plan was go back home, have sex with your wife, you have a kid. I'm never outed. Nobody knows that I'm the one who got her pregnant. So I'm gonna keep going. But if that's a word for you, that's a word. But
what's the word?
for me, the word was people literally come up with something else instead of tell the truth. Like, instead of just be like, yo, you know what? I had sex with your wife and she's pregnant. My bad. Instead, what he did was he's coming up with ways like, oh, go get drunk. Like she's trying to befriend him. Oh, go get drunk. Let's get drunk. Go home. Spend time with your wife. I don't want to spend time with my wife. I want to make sure you good because it's a lot going on out here and you're my king and I'm that loyal to you that I'm going to sit here in front of your door all night to make sure you're good. Okay. Instead of him saying, dang, you really a loyal guy. Let me tell you what I did. Instead, no, he still has to find a way to cover up his sin. So he he writes a letter. He tells Uriah to take the letter to, I forget his name. He takes the letter to him, but basically in the letter it says, yo, we about to have a war. I'm gonna need you to put Uriah on the front line. As soon as the war get going, y'all draw back, leave Uriah there so he could die. He writes that in a letter, gives it to him. Uriah takes the letter. He basically takes the letter that says, kill me, to the people. Brings the letter there. The man reads the letter. He's like, oh, snap. Okay. This the instruction from King David? Got it. The whole time when he brought the letter when Uriah was bringing the letter to the army, he never opened it. He kept it. Like that's how much he had trust in King David. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's the word for me. Is just like, yo, you be trusting in people so much and like they really be for your demise. That's a whole nother thing. But
What?
so then,
This is the most New York episode ever. What? You said all of that to just be like, don't trust nobody?
no, I'm still going. I'm saying that's the word right there. It's more.
Okay, go. Okay.
It's more to the story. It's layers to this story. You get what I'm saying? It's layers. To me, really, it's the character of King David that really stood out to me the most. Is because I'm thinking, yo, he's such a good king. He's such a good person. He's a man of God's own heart. That's what they say about David. He's after God's heart. So for me to hear that he's so downright dirty and disgusting,
Okay.
oh,
He had many flaws.
he had many flaws, and God still loves him. I think that's what
I
I.
still loved him.
Oh,
And he still kept his promise because Solomon became king as well.
Solomon became king, but all of these things happened before then.
No,
So
I know I'm saying, but meaning like God still kept his promise. Like
oh, I
if
kept his
he
promise.
blesses one, you
Yeah.
just in the business of blessing.
Yeah, God kept his promise regardless of how foul King David was.
Yeah.
So that's the real word. But behind the scenes is so many other layers to everything that I'm catching as I'm reading this. So as he brings the letter to the army, they look at it, they like, okay, this is what King David says. The war starts, he's on the front line, he gets killed. So then I guess King David feels like, whew, now I could finally breathe. I could finally marry her. She'll get pregnant. Nobody's gonna know what happened. They just gonna think this is all, oh, she's my wife now. But he already impregnated her. He already committed adultery, which is a sin, and he covered it up. And that's the point. Like, he covered up the sin and he did all of that just to not admit that he was wrong, just to not face his own sin. And it was so he was
So accountability.
yeah, he didn't take accountability.
No, but is that what you're saying? What do you want the people to take away from the story?
Well, you made me hit record, but I want the people to take away.
Oh, well, you can't say it. You want to. There's like a.
So basically, I can keep going. What I want everybody to take away is that King David was foul. Loved him, and God still forgave him. God still gave him all that he promised. I
Yeah.
did not know that Solomon was also the son of Bathsheba. I knew he was the son of King David.
Yeah.
So that's the whole point I brought up Solomon, because I'm like, King David was smart. Like, his son was the wisest person in the world. Like, so if he's the father of the wisest person in the world, of course he's going to have to be smart too. But I didn't know that Bathsheba was his mother.
Yeah. So that's a reminder that no matter who your parents are, what your upbringing was, because we were talking about that. We were talking about those kind of topics before we started recording,
Yeah.
actually, like upbringing and family and stuff. But despite who your parents are, the upbringing, how you even came to be born, because I
Yeah.
know a lot of times, especially our generation,
Yeah.
in this DNA ancestry 23andMe da 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 world,
Yeah.
the people are longing to really know where they come from, what happened, and
Yeah.
all this information, and do that if you feel called to do that, but also know, like, no matter what the history of your family or your birth was,
Yeah.
like, if God wants to bless you, He's gonna bless you.
But I feel like that's a big part of the Bible too. I have a lot of people tell me that they're so confused
You know,
when they read the Bible and they're like, David was the son of, and Solomon was the son of David, and Solomon was sometimes that gets people so confused. Like, okay,
yeah, which is crazy because,
what am I reading?
but you and your, I
When
don't
you
want
okay,
this is inappropriate, but we come from families where you and your cousin might have the same, like, you know what I mean? Like,
no, but when you were talking, what I caught was it doesn't matter, but it does matter, because just how they say everything works together for the greater good of those that love the Lord, right?
yeah,
It doesn't matter who your mother is, who your father is, but God makes it a point in the Bible to tell us who everybody comes from. And I feel like He doesn't do that on purpose. I feel like it does matter. So it's like it'll make a difference who you are based off who your parents are.
I don't get that, but
I feel like what's the point of Him telling us who everybody's father is? He wants us to know where we come from. It is important. It doesn't matter. He's gonna still love you, but it is important for your story, like for the way that for your journey. It's important. Like the fact that his mother and father was Bathsheba and David, and he ended up being the wisest person in the world, but he came from sin in a way.
yeah,
So I feel like it's of course you're gonna be wise. I don't know how to articulate this, but I just feel like his story, it does matter. I feel like God tells us who everybody is connected to. I feel like that does matter. Maybe it's also to just that we all came from the same place, regardless of who, like Adam
I
and
mean, it also does matter because I don't know what part, as Pastor Torre always says, read your whole Bible, but that one book where it's literally just
Eve.
genealogy, like
Yeah, just lineage.
so and so knows so and so that knows so and so that was so and
I,
so that is so and so.
and that is to be like, we all come from the same place.
You know,
This happened to this. Either way, you're still here.
you're still here and you're still going to be blessed no matter what.
Right. So it does
So
matter and it does matter at the same time.
yeah, it's the
Where it makes sense and it doesn't make sense at the same time, kind of.
and it depends on who you are. Like if it is important to you, you
Right.
know.
Right. Like if details are important to you.
Yeah, if details are important to you, if your lineage, if you literally think that, because there's someone watching this who literally was born out of a similar situation,
Right.
and maybe they struggle in love, and
Right.
so they think, well, if my parents did it this way, then this is why I'm struggling in love,
Exactly.
and that's not true.
That's not true.
That's not how that works. Like
No.
God wants you to have more. Like we all have a chance to have more. We all have the chance. So,
And also experience is the best teacher. So if you have
which is something I take away from the Bible all the time. Which I wish more people got to see the human side. Like,
exactly.
yeah, like God is pissed. He shows anger. He shows disappointment and all that stuff. But it literally, if you keep reading, he's like, okay, so what are we gonna do now?
What are we gonna do now?
What are
And
we
it's
gonna do
the experience, it's the journey. Like Sarah Jake says all the time, God speaks in the language of journey. So all of us will have a different story and a different connection with God because our journeys are all different.
now?
So I do believe that when we are our lives, if we literally sit back and piece by piece by piece, every little thing, at the end of our lives, we'll be like, whoa, you know what I mean? It does make sense, even though it didn't make sense at the time, but it makes sense now. Because if this never happened, then that never would have happened. You know how some people say everything happens for a reason. I
Yeah,
believe that.
everything happens for a reason.
Even if it feels like it's no reason at all, or even if it makes no sense.
Yeah,
Ultimately, it does, like Curtis just said. If you keep reading,
just keep reading
it'll make sense at some point.
at some point. And it might not make sense in the next chapter. Because that'd be the thing too. When you're reading the Bible, it's like you get a story and then the next book will be about a whole new person.
Whole new situation.
So you're like, wait, but what happened to so and so? And God is like, don't worry about that.
Not yet. And it's crazy because I was just explaining Second Samuel, right?
Mm-hmm.
It we come to it again in Psalms 51. It's a prayer from David where he's praying to God, saying, God, please uh, release me, forgive me for this, give me a clean slate, clean my heart. And at the top of Psalms 51, it says this is David's cry out to God when he committed adultery with Bathsheba.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have known none of what he's talking about in 51 of Psalms 51 if I haven't read, went through, studied, figured out who was who in Samuel 2. Like,
Yeah.
I was crying to God for forgiveness. What did he do?
Mm-hmm.
Earn
And also
a,
a reminder to forgive people,
yeah,
to understand. You think
that God forgives.
don't God forgives, and we should be forgiving too.
And we,
Like, how do again, if we talking real life stuff, you gotta you gotta you got a family member who done had a baby in the same situation,
yeah,
and you judging them. Instead of judging, and you giving all your energy to judging them instead of actually welcoming the child and loving the child into a new world and giving them a different opportunity, a
as if,
different perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, a different perspective. But instead, you just focus on the tea and the mess
Yeah.
of how this blessing came to be.
Yeah.
Um,
For sure.
yeah, it's so layered. It's so layered.
It's so layered, and that's why the Bible. That's why
It's so
our
layered.
Bible study is going to be so lit,
Mhm.
because it's the different perspectives, it's the reading it, it's the layers, it's the understanding what we're talking about here, right? Because sometimes it can get very confusing. Like, people go to Bible college,
Mhm.
understand what the
Mhm.
Bible is talking about. Like,
Yeah.
not, and I tell people this all the time when they say, well, how can you read the Bible? It's so confusing. I don't understand. It's not confusing. Like Curtis said, you have to just keep reading, but you have to understand that it is a book that will never fully be understood.
Ooh, that's a good point. Because as humans, we want to know everything.
We want to know everything, and I think God wants us to know that you will never fully understand.
And you have to keep a part of life is asking questions. Like, what does that mean? Read it. Because I think we've talked about it too. When you read, you could read something in the Bible, and then if you read that same scripture in a different season, it means something totally
Totally different.
different.
And the word is living, so it's like what you're going through right now, today, might pop out at you when you're reading something. But then later, you forget about that. You come back and you read it. And you're like, oh, I'm not even thinking about that anymore. So it's not even popping up to me that way. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, you start thinking about stuff when you're reading these scriptures, which you should. I feel like that's why God left them here for us to
Yeah.
make it to make it personal and to like fall in love with it. And so that's why I get so passionate when I read the Bible, because it's like, what? That's crazy. For me, it was so crazy when I was in Bible study last night, because I had no idea. Like, I knew that King David was, King. I always known that it's so many different stories. We know he wrote the Psalms. We know
And, oh,
he was
and
his dad. I always knew that he was this big
yeah.
character in the Bible, but I didn't know he had so many flaws. Like,
Yes, and and then we keeping it like thinking about the human part. Also, think about David's life.
he was the
Oh,
king. He
wait, I'm about to tell you something. I'm about to tell you something. So I'm gonna talk about David, and then I'm gonna share something that the Lord recently taught me about lust and about my lust specifically. So, all right, so here we are talking about David, and we like, oh, slept with his friend girl, blah blah blah, baby, blah blah. But if you think about David's life, he was othered, not chosen, and played by his family.
hmm,
Then became that man. I want to say another word, but this is the internet.
he killed Goliath.
He became that person, killed Goliath with barely nothing after being othered, pushed aside. And so, if you're a human and you're watching this, you know what it feels like to become that man, become that girl. People on you got access, right? So anyway, so let me tell you something that the Lord recently told me about my lust. And he told me, said, Curtis, your lust is connected to your insecurity.
Mm.
Because you were once othered, because people did not make you feel desirable, and now I've given you a platform where you are affirmed, validated. People are saying that what you do makes them feel better. You have changed their lives.
Come on.
Lust is a way that you make sure that everyone that you come across doesn't feel insecure like that. So sometimes we use lust to make everyone we come across feel beautiful, even if we don't like them.
Wow.
Because we say, for me, I won't speak for y'all, but for me, it's like, dang, I know I probably won't date this person, but dang, if I can make them feel beautiful for one night, I'll do it. I'll do it. Like, it's worth it. And I say that to say, like, again, our paths are so vast, and David probably, he was basically the nerd. Let's use a different
He was
term, right?
great. He
What'd
was
you say?
He was Drake.
He was Drake.
Drake
And
was
then
when Drake was in Degrassi. He was like a nerd.
yes, he
Like,
was in the
well, he was a
wheelchair.
nerd Degrassi, but you know what I mean. Like, I'm
Yeah,
super
yeah, he was overloaded.
nerd.
Then he started rapping, and the girls was like,
Then he
"Oh,
became that
Jimmy, Jimmy."
champagne
So
poppy.
David became Champagne Poppy, and he was like, "Wait, Bathsheba." Also, God is so humorous because why would David see a girl showering and her first half of her name be Bath?
Is
That's
bad. Also, David, you could have anybody in this kingdom. Why you peeking Tom watching this lady take a bath?
Bathsheba.
Take a bath. Like, why?
That's
It
so
also was so interesting me reading it too, because I'm like, that's so funny. Like, I could just vision it. Like, you could have everything that you want, but then you see this little pretty girl running around. They said she was beautiful. Very,
yeah, too bad. And also, God only they say that there's only about I think it's only 5 women that of names that we know in the Bible.
yeah,
So that's another thing. That's another word. If you have a history, or not a history, if you have a past that maybe you're not that proud of,
yeah.
know that the Lord again is still going to use you. Like He still knows your name. He still thinks you're beautiful. He still thinks you're worthy.
He used all of these people in the Bible to make us realize that,
So I looked up,
hey,
and Solomon. I wanted to look up
I love that name,
the,
Solomon.
the meaning of Solomon. Hebrew origin, and it means peaceful.
Peaceful.
So imagine your parents meet in such a funky way, and your name is still one of peace. And Solomon is known for his wisdom and wealth, for building the first temple in Jerusalem. Again, I don't know. Again,
I love that name, Solomon.
I don't care what your upbringing was. Not like I don't care, but like just know that the Lord doesn't care and that He's still going to use you. He's
I
still
don't.
going to use you because you can still be named after peace and used to build a temple down.
Because his father couldn't do it. David couldn't do it. David could do all these things, but he couldn't build the temple. And so Solomon did in his footsteps, but also following God's promise that you know, it will be built. Might not
Yeah,
be by you, but you're going to be a reason why it's built because this is your son, you know. Oh, that's also so deep. It's like you might not be the one to do the thing that you're thinking of because a lot of us are like, oh, I want to be the first to, or I want to be. You might not be that, but you should be grateful to even be a part of it, right? You might be a pillar in it. Like if there was no Solomon, there would be no temple. So David wasn't able to do the temple, but
and he built the first one.
he was able to create the person who did build it. So you might not be the captain of the yacht, but you might be on the boat. You dig?
He built the first one.
Look,
That's what David was doing when he was looking at Bathsheba. He was at the top.
I really want to know if Bathsheba even was well. That's the thing in the Bible too. We don't really know what these women was feeling because God ain't even really put that many women
Yeah,
in there to really speak their piece like that. But I'm sure
yeah.
her story was crazy as far as what
Like
happened.
how she got there. Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you get there? How
So
did you get there, Bathsheba?
I feel like this was so good. I feel like this was raw. I feel like this is exactly
These are the kind of episodes that go viral, and it's like we've been trying so hard.
we've been polished. Now when we doing bedside Baptist.
You guys understand the Bible more.
Yeah, no.
um, Bathsheba was raised in a religious household in Jerusalem. Her father was a Liam, and her grandfather was, I don't want to ruin his name,
I
but he was a political,
I know the grandfather, but I don't. How you spell it?
AHI.
AHI.
I mean, yeah. I don't know. But he was basically a chief counselor to King Wade. Oh, that was the mentor.
Yes, he was the chief counsel.
Her grandpa was David's.
Like
Um,
or like chief counsel.
Let me tell you something. Y'all, those who are watching this, let me tell you, you can really learn a lot about your own personal life through the Bible. Now, we all got a friend that done been with, slept with a man who basically she knew since a kid through her uncle, and then you wonder why their baby shower was so lit.
While all the old players was there, he was an old player, and
Um,
that's the part that kind of got me too, because it's like, wait, he her grandfather friend, but I think that he probably looked at him as a son or something. He wasn't as old as her grandfather, but he was somebody who watched David grow. So he was more like a mentor to David.
David and Bathsheba had 4 kids together.
So the first baby died, right?
I'm not sure.
The baby that he
Ooh,
wedlock.
why did Bathsheba purify herself? Hmm. Wait.
Uh, is better than loving hip hop. The Bible is
Wait.
full of ridiculousness. It's
Wait. It's another word.
what?
So, wait, hold on. Okay. So when David saw Bathsheba washing herself,
Mm-hmm.
she was doing a washing ritual because she was required, under the law of Moses,
Mm-hmm.
she was required to wash herself monthly after her period
Hmm.
or state of uncleanliness ended to return to a state of spiritual readiness to create life. So
Ovulating.
she was ovulating. She was in her bag. She was focused on herself, her body. And there was a man who saw that she was vulnerable and ready.
Hmm. So that's why he's watching her.
Well, I don't know if that was like why, but what I'm trying to make the point of is that people can see when you're in your bag.
That's what I mean. Like he
Yeah.
could feel
He can feel her doing the work.
her confidence. He could feel she was in a good space.
And she took care of herself, right? Right? Like men like women that take care of themselves.
Yeah.
And and David saw, so that's a word for someone.
Yeah.
If you're in your bag and someone is, we'll take gender off of it. If someone's showing you attention, pay attention to the way they're showing up. And
Are in your life.
exactly.
Because if you're vibrating high, then that's when you attract.
Mm-hmm.
When you're vibrating low, finish this.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
I felt that. I'm telling you, that story really sent me last night. I was like, what in the what in the what? But it all boils back to exactly what you said. God uses people. He's always used people and he always will use people. And it's just inspiring, but then it's also eye opening because there's so much layers to the Old Testament. I mean, the Old Testament is so hard to get into, but once you get in, you're in. Put on your seatbelt and
Wait, hold on. Not us really being Bible theologians, because didn't we say that? No, didn't we say that Bathsheba was in control? Wait, what? No. we were talking about Ray J and Princess.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
there was a point of the convo where we said we feel like Princess was really in charge. So get this. In the second book of Samuel, it was King David who had all the power, forcing himself on Bathsheba. But in Cohen's song, she's the one in charge. She's cutting the king's hair, your hair, and emasculating him in the process, breaking the throne, rather as Delilah did to Samson in the book of Judges. So let
Mm.
me tell you something. If you play in muddy water, you're
Yeah.
gonna get dirty. You're gonna get dirty.
Yeah, so she okay, so you answered my question because my first question was she taken advantage of? Part of me felt like she could have been taken advantage of because he's the king. How can you turn him down? He's the king. But at the same time, it what you just read kind of sounded like she knew what she was doing.
She knew what she was doing. She saw, and
But
that's why the Bible is.
in her defense, Uriah was away. He was away. He
Oh
was
yeah, no, I'm not. You
felt
know, we live in the world where look, shout out to Amber Rose. Well, not really shout out to Amber Rose because she's been promoting Trump, but we are not slut shaming at all. No.
no, not at all. I just feel like yeah, so I just wanted to point out that she was failing
Yeah,
herself
she was
because
fully
her husband,
aware of what was happening.
he was
Yeah.
obviously so good. Everybody, all the women who ovulate, no, those the week or a few days after your period is when you feel the best. You're like, woo, I'm pretty, I'm good, I don't got no bumps on my face, my head, girl,
Look, see it free.
my body
My
tingling.
own money. I get money.
So she was feeling herself, and she just so happened to have a spectator.
Yeah, the spectator who happened to be the king, and that's what happens in real life.
Ladies, because when that king, you know what
Yeah,
Chris Brown say?
when y'all
Rich
when
nigga want you, and
when
you can't do nothing for you. Sis said,
oh these Bathshebas ain't loyal. Oh, Bathshebas ain't
that
loyal.
she was saying, at this point, the king said, what's up?
He said, "What's up?" And she said, hmm,
She said, I'm asleep. I got
"You
see.
you are a king." And let's be clear, we all got a friend that, or we know of a girl, we've seen a person who done had a baby with a person just because of a association or access.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay,
it's been happening. So that's
it
all
happens, but no, but it's been happening
been
legit,
happening.
and it still doesn't. Again, what the word is so good for, it still doesn't give us reason to judge. That's not
Exactly.
how you wanted to have your kid. You
Right.
wouldn't have a kid with that person. You wouldn't do that. You don't know what the Lord is going to do with that child and that life.
And then also, you don't know what you would do in that situation.
Yeah, you don't.
I can't say all day, oh, she was crazy. Oh, I would never, blah, blah. Bad she was angry. You know, she definitely did what was
Yeah.
for the kingdom,
And
period.
also shout out to God because God also doesn't slut shame either. Because there's another story in the Bible where remember the guy was cheating. He was cheating with this. He got caught with this woman. He was cheating with her. And
Hmm.
remember all them dudes they brought her to Jesus and they was trying to slut shame her in front of
Yeah.
Jesus.
He said, cast the first stone.
And Jesus was like, all right, cast the first stone, go off.
Also, there's a woman in the Bible named Rahab. I don't know if y'all know her, but shout out to Rahab. She was Jesus's godmother, a grandmother, I believe, but that's a whole other thing. She she known as harlot, which harlot is like harlot. Another word starts with the H, ends with the E. She was known as a harlot. But when the guys was running, I don't know what story you're saying, y'all. They was running from the law, right? Rahab housed them in, put them up in her house on her roof, and told them go that way. And when the people came, they like, you seen the men? She was like, no, I did not. She kept it a buck, and she advanced herself.
Them harlots are loyal.
You better clock that. Now go ahead and find that in the Bible too, because that was a good one. Rahab the harlot, she basically saved the guys. She told them, she basically charged them. It was like a transaction. I forget what they gave her, but she got something out of it. And she like, I'm gonna hide y'all, but XYZ. She hid them, they got away.
And she got spared from the destruction of Jericho. Look at that.
So shout out to the ladies. This one's for the ladies.
Where my girls at?
From the front to back, what was you feeling that? That's so good. That's so good. I
Wow.
feel good. Bible's
Hold on.
going to be lit.
Hold on.
Look, Curtis can't get out of the first. He can't get out of the Old Testament, baby. We starting with the Old Testament. We ain't even going to the New Testament. We going to the Old Testament. When we start our Bible study, we pulling up these old stories. We getting into these old.
And no, and also this is a word for y'all judgmental people.
What is saying?
No, just saying like this is all happening while Jesus is coming up, and he still was loving, and y'all be judgmental with y'all dysfunctional friendships and family members,
Period.
and y'all still want to be, you want to have nasty spirits. You could change that.
Can't be judgmental. You can't be unforgiving. These are not these are not fruits of the spirit, right? The fruits of the spirit are love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, self-control.
Oh,
Guys,
wait, hold on.
Curtis is in his word, baby. What you
Wait, so Rahab, right? So first of all, beautiful. Look how they describe her. Rahab's story is an example of faith, and she is considered a saint in the New Testament. She is also a direct descendant of Jesus through her son Boaz and Ruth. Shout out to Devon Franklin
shout out to Ruth. That's my
because
favorite
he's doing Devon Franklin's doing a
movie. You told me.
movie about Boaz and Ruth. It's
Yes.
called R&B.
Oh, that's gonna be.
Oh, and look how he ate that because he put the
He ate,
herbs.
and mind you, Ruth is my favorite story in the Bible. My favorite
He
book.
put a woman. You gotta put that woman first.
So good.
Oh wow, Devon. I hope you see this episode.
So good.
We done said too many.
We
I feel like this is how this episode reminds me of when we first started
yeah.
because I remember when we first started, we were naming so many like celebrities just randomly because we were making connections between real life and the word and stuff. I feel like that today.
Oh, I have something too. When we first started, we were talking about these stories, but we didn't know none of these people names. So shout out to God for actually keeping us our word, because now we could be like, oh, just like Ruth, just like Boaz, just like sorry, Boaz, just like Rahab, just like everybody. Like we naming people, like we're becoming those people that be talking about people in the Bible, and we be like, dang, what story is that? We know the stories, we know the word. So shout out to God for that.
Wait.
Here you go.
Okay, it's too much.
Go
So so now I'm on Ruth and Boaz, y'all. We just this episode is a Bible study. Anyway,
ahead.
after the death of her husband, Ruth moved to Judah with her mother-in-law Naomi
Yes.
instead of remaining with her own people. Ruth then became the wife of Boaz, a wealthy kinsman of her former husband, and bore Obed, who,
Mm-hmm.
according to the final verses of the book, was the grandfather of David. So,
I
first
know.
of all, David's family goes crazy. First of all, we need to be thanking David because he's a matchmaker.
Literally.
His bloodline is matchmaking. It has like love in it.
Play.
What'd you say?
His bloodline don't play.
It don't play. But and again, we keep saying the same thing in different ways, but God is going to use your bloodline because
Yeah.
even through all of that dysfunction, God still allowed all of these people to experience love and give birth to children. Like to have legacy,
and
period.
advance the kingdom.
And advance the kingdom, which is most important to God anyway.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's good. So when we do our Bible, we'll talk offline about the Bible study. But
Wow.
we should go.
David's grandfather was, wow.
Who was his grandfather?
I don't know, it just keeps saying David's grandfather. And it's like, he
I
keeps, but
David.
remember we mentioned David's grandfather in the BathSheba story.
No, that's not his grandfather. That was his mentor. That was her grandfather.
Oh, my bad, my bad, my bad, my bad, my bad, my
But
bad.
David is the son of Jesse. So whoever Jesse's father is who his grandfather is.
This is good,
It gets
y'all.
messy, child. It gets messy. And I feel like when we go through the Bible, we should go maybe book by book. But it's
Like,
hard to
you
do
know,
it.
like Genesis, like literally, like da 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 da.
It's hard to do it that way though, because like say we say, oh, let's start with the Psalms. We gonna have to go in the. That's why I feel like we should start.
Psalms is lit.
We should go with the Old Testament,
Psalms will
break
save
down
your life.
old stories, because then it's gonna make more sense when we move into the New Testament with Jesus, with Psalms, with Romans, with the Gospels. I feel like we should go that way because we need to know about David. We can't go through the Bible without learning about David. Because David's a big part of the Bible.
It really is, huh?
And like you said, his bloodline is going all the way, like it's going crazy.
Like his bloodline is really. Should we be thanking David?
Oh, hail King David. King David is given like a Marvel movie at this point. Like, you know how all the Marvel movies is connected some
Yeah,
way?
continue. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Let's give it that.
And all of that started with the childhood of not being chosen by your own dad. Your own dad was like, not him. And Jesus was like, I know you got mad kids.
He said, oh no, that's it. Sir, you got one more son around here. Where he at? Because that's what he came for. I know. These my 7 boys right here. No,
These
where's
are the
that?
ones, these are strong ones. These are the men.
Who's that over there in the field with the sheep? Who's the shepherd? Who's that little shepherd boy over there? Oh, that's my son too, but he ain't really my son. Like, what was you doing?
They're a little different. Look, he eclectic.
He
When
ought
the
to,
when the parent got a queer kid, then
yeah, he a little.
he not really into sports.
But you know what else? This will never end. This episode. He David was a shepherd.
Your eyebrows look that good. Hold on,
Thank you.
they look really good. I just noticed.
David was a shepherd. I'm gonna say that again.
Yeah, David was a shepherd.
So when they refer to Jesus, what they refer to him as, yes, he was a carpenter, but when they start talking all these stories about he will leave
And get the sheep. He'll
he'll
leave the 99
yeah, he'll leave 99
for the
for
one.
so they say
Oh,
Jesus was a shepherd.
so
Like how they say he knows his sheep.
he saw himself in David.
Bingo. That's what I think. Because
But wait, but how you see yourself? See, and this is why people don't.
this
And
is why God is real. And this is why people be like, I can't understand the Bible because
I was just about to say that because I could imagine not believing in God and being like,
this
"Hmm,
is
but how did Jesus see himself in him
before he was
when
even.
he was born from a virgin who couldn't even see her? Ooh, I don't know, y'all, but it's good.
Yeah, it's so
I
good.
don't know how, but it's good.
Good with it at the end.
No, for sure. I don't know how, y'all. I don't have all the answers.
You
You
know what?
know,
I also find people who think from the left side of the brain have a hard time with understanding the Bible too, because they want to understand how this and that and this and this, this and that. You got to be able to understand that you're never going to understand.
oh, you don't need to know everything.
Yeah, that's what you have to
Like
understand.
you want to be the smartest in the room. And the Bible is full of moments where Jesus humbles people who literally, first of all, we don't even know what's going on. as a human.
Hey, and you want to be the smartest in the room, and everything that you're supposed to learn is going directly over your head because
No, but literally over your head though.
you're paying attention to the wrong thing instead of
I
paying.
wish we had a piano. We need an organ right now.
But also, the key to it all is it's spiritual. It's not worldly.
It's not worldly. It's
So
not
you
what you
gotta
feel.
connect inside. You can't connect in your brain trying to
Yeah.
figure out all that. That's another reason why I feel like God did that. To get us to be like, y'all gonna be somebody's gonna be out there. This is a word. Somebody's gonna be out there reading and understanding whose father is whose son is whose grandmother, whose grandfather, and they gonna miss the the what they're supposed to catch because they know that Bathsheba's grandmother.
Well, that's religion, right? That's when you get into a conversation with somebody and they ask you like, name this scripture right now. This is, and you're like, God is not gonna quiz me about that, babe.
At all. The real quiz you done because you seen that homeless man sitting outside and you had money in your pocket and you walked right past them.
And
Thank
your mom said sorry about what she didn't do when you was 3, and then you still mad at her at 45.
your heart in order for you to get it too. How about that? You walking around here with this dirty heart and then you wonder why you don't understand the Bible at all. It don't make sense. This is crazy. I get a head. I got a headache. I can't keep up because you.
But you know every housewife. You know every housewife.
Okay, child, this was good.
And on that note,
And on that note,
thank you for watching. This is a very long episode. It's 1:55.
is it 2 hours? No, we gotta go. We love you.
We love y'all. Thank you for watching.